Mark Stiving. He, as a matter of fact, not in the intro, but I had him on my association chief staff executive, the CEO call that I do every Tuesday a few weeks ago, and they really got a lot out of it. So I even put the presentation up at ASAE, so in the CEO forum. So there's more of Mark if you want it. So let's get to Mark's intro. Your members participate in your association to build their business. For 30 years, Mark has been helping large and small companies grow their profits through value-based pricing. He has written 3 books on pricing, has a PhD in pricing, and hosts a successful podcast on pricing. In the next 8 minutes, Mark will share one big idea that can accelerate your members' profitability. Easy for me to say. I give you Mark Stiving.
Value-based pricing is the most profitable pricing strategy any company or association can adopt. Value-based pricing is a really easy concept to understand. It means charge what your customers are willing to pay. It's almost impossible to do perfectly. And that's because you can't read your customers' minds. But what we can do is focus on how they perceive the value of our product. And the more we understand value, the more we understand the way they think about value, the closer we can come to executing value-based pricing. One framework that I use a lot, and it is extremely powerful when understanding how our buyers value our products, is will I and which one? Will I buy something in this product category? And then which one am I going to go buy? For example, let's assume that you're not in the marketplace for a new refrigerator right now, and that's probably a pretty easy assumption to make. And yet tomorrow morning, you walk down to the kitchen, there's water all over the floor underneath the refrigerator. The ice is melted out of the freezer. You open the door and the food is warm. It's no longer healthy to eat. You call a refrigerator repairman. They show up and says, this is going to be expensive to fix. And so you decide you need to go buy a new refrigerator. You just said yes to the will I decision. What do you do next? Well, you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Appliance Warehouse. You start looking at different brands of refrigerators. You look at different technologies. Do you want the freezer on the top or the freezer on the bottom? Do you want the 2 doors or the single door? Do you want the ice in the door or not? And each one of these decisions, you're looking at what's the price of that? Because price becomes a really important factor when we're making that which one decision. Now, the reason this is such an important concept is because when people only make the will I decision, they aren't price sensitive. Price isn't driving that decision. And there are many circumstances where people are only making a will I decision. We just have to learn to recognize them or to create them. So for example, bungee jumping. Who's been bungee jumping? So I can't see you, but I'm going to assume 1 or 2 people have said, yeah, I've been bungee jumping. I went bungee jumping. I was in Queensland, New Zealand at the Shotover River. It cost me $150. Now, if you were to ask me, did I compare any competitive alternatives? Was I thinking about going somewhere else to go bungee jumping, or was it just this place? And I would tell you it was just this place. This was a will I decision. I said yes, and I never went on to look at competitive alternatives. So then you're probably curious. I paid $150. Would I have paid 200? Yeah. How about 250? Starting to get expensive. 300? Yeah, probably not. The point here is price wasn't driving my decision. They could have increased the price and I still would have gone bungee jumping. Now imagine for a moment that you happen to be a really good friend of mine. You're standing right there next to me in New Zealand, Queensland at the Shotover River. It's $150 to go bungee jumping. Who's going with me? And I'm guessing I just got a few of you to say yes, but most of you said no. And so what if it was 125? Would you go? How about 100? How about 75? Yeah, most of you didn't change your mind. And here's why. Price isn't driving that decision. Something else was driving that decision. We want to learn how we can create situations and products where people aren't comparing us to competitive alternatives, because then the decision isn't about price. The decision is all about what's the value of solving the problem. We can break this down into two flavors. Let's call one the will I situations and the other one will I products. Will I situations are those situations where we have a product that's normally competitive, but we find it in a situation where competitive alternatives are not considered. So imagine that you're driving out in the middle of nowhere. You see the sign on the side of the road that says last gas 75 miles, glance down at the fuel gauge and it says 1/8 of a tank of gas. You pull over to get gas and the price of the gas is 4 times the price what it is in the city. Are you buying gas? Heck yes. Because you're making a will I decision. There's no competitive alternative. This is a will I situation. But sometimes we have products where people only consider our product and don't consider competitive alternatives. My favorite example of this is the iPhone. If you are currently an iPhone user, I am guessing that you're thinking to yourself, should I upgrade to the new iPhone or not? What you're not thinking is, should I upgrade to the new iPhone or switch to Android? It's Apple or nothing. So the iPhone is really a will I product. And this is why Apple gets to charge such high prices compared to Samsung and other Android manufacturers. In fact, Android mobile phones in the worldwide marketplace have 72% market share, which is huge. On the other hand, Apple mobile phones or Apple iPhones in the worldwide marketplace have 85% profit share. Apple makes all the profit, even though Samsung and other Android manufacturers make most of the phones. If I could advise you to do anything, it would be to be more like Apple. See if you can create or find will I products. See if you can create or find will I situations. Will I and which one is just one of the frameworks that help us understand how our customers truly perceive the value of our products, implying their willingness to pay. If you want your members to be able to grow their profitability rapidly, give me a call. Now, go make an impact.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Well, I'm not one of those Apple phone users, so I'll just go to Woot and look for the best deal on the next Samsung version. I'm unfortunately not the best client in that situation. But I found it very, very interesting, Mark, that a lot of the things that you talked to the association executives about on with my group really hit hard, especially things in subscription membership, things that association people, not just for their members, but for the association itself. So